With Hunter x Hunter coming back from a nearly 4-year hiatus pretty soon, most likely around the same time Volume 37 drops in Japan, which would be in early November, we are going to be right smack dab in one of the most intense and complex arcs the series has ever done with the Succession War. And there's a lot that separates this arc from the previous ones in Hunter x Hunter, but not the least of which is the fact that the main protagonist of the series, GON, is not present for any of it, both narratively and physically. Right now, all of our focal characters are on one gigantic boat halfway across the ocean, heading towards the Dark Continent. It's not as if GON can just show up at some point here and have it make any sense whatsoever, so nothing that is currently happening has anything to do with him. Which, if you think about it, is a true testament to Togashi's writing that the world of Hunter x Hunter and all the potential that you can do with it isn't dependent on one character. Even if Gon can seemingly be a simple or standard shonen protagonist, I've said this before, but he's not important to the world of Hunter x Hunter, and let me explain. Most stories have their MC ultimately become either the most powerful or most important character in their story. They make everything revolve around that character, and because of that character's existence, everything in the world is fundamentally changed. They're the chosen one. They're the descendant of some ancient powerful force. They're special in an extremely significant way. But Gon is a great character, and he's important to the story in the sense that we follow his adventures, but if you took Gon out of the world of Hunter x Hunter, the world would still function as usual. The Hunter Association would still be there, the Phantom Troop would still be doing their thing, Greed Island would still exist for those that find it, and the Dark Continent would still be out there. One thing I love about Hunter x Hunter is that fact. That Gon is just a person living in this world trying to navigate it and accomplish his goals. There's always going to be stronger characters than him. Things are always going to be going on that he doesn't understand. And there's a vast world out there that he won't be able to explore because it's rare for a single person to explore every inch of the planet. Gon's story was a personal one. He takes us to the world of the hunters, and we watch him learn and grow and see the darker sides of what the happy-go-lucky, throw caution into the wind type of protagonist can be like when they are unrestrained. And we get this inverse of a power-up to save the day. When Gon becomes his most powerful, it is not a happy moment unlike in most other shonen. It's dark, it's tragic, and yes, it's cathartic to see Pito's stupid face punched in, but when Gon is there just doing it over and over and over, and Killua shows up and finds him, you see that this once fun-loving child doesn't care about anything anymore and has essentially sacrificed himself for one single moment of brutality. I think in a way Togashi took Gon as far as he could go, watching his descent and showing the consequences of his actions, but ultimately, Gon wanted to find his dad and meet him, and after being healed by Alluka, he does just that. Hey guys, before I go any further, I just want to take the time to shout out a Patreon supporter of mine, ESFiend, and his book, A Dream of Waking Life. It's a philosophical and psychological thriller that tells the story of one man's journey through space, time, and mind to not only discover his true identity, but also the love of his life. A woman who keeps slipping through his fingers and into an alternate reality. It's a thought-provoking meditation on the thin line between what is real and what is not. A Dream of Waking Life leaves readers questioning how far they would go to understand the nature of their own existence and how much they would sacrifice for love. The book is available right now on Amazon, only $4.99, and is definitely a good read for anyone interested in the more existential style of storytelling. Also, I have included some links below to the website for his books and the Instagram page so you can follow and show your support. Definitely go check it out, give it a read, send some love, and tell him Ryan sent you. When Gon and Jean talk in volume 32 of the manga, or the final episode of the anime, there's a little lesson about life and the detours of it and the importance of them. That the goal you have in mind is important, but if you don't take the time to enjoy the journey along the way, there's a chance that that goal will seem empty when you finally make it there. Gon enjoys this moment because he has had the fulfilling life up until that point, despite all of the tragedy. In fact, experiencing the tragedy in itself is part of what made him who he is, and sometimes going to your lowest point is what you need to be able to rise up and then reach your highest. Regardless of what a deadbeat dad Gene may or may not be, there's a lot of truth within the speech that he leaves Gon with. And after that, the story switches focus. We are now in a completely new arc and have several main characters, but arguably you could say that Kurapika has taken center stage. And to make 32 volumes of a manga with one main character and now switch to another and have it actually work, well, that's a testament to the world building and the great cast that Hunter x Hunter has to offer. But it does leave the question on if Gon will ever come back, and if he did, what would it be for? Gon is currently back on Whale Island, far removed from the current storyline, but Togashi has left us with a few cliffhangers for him. The most recent one is Gon seemingly not being able to use his nen anymore after being healed, and whether or not this is going to be a permanent consequence of his battle with Pito has yet to be seen. Gon has to have aura in order to live, but being unable to harness it would leave him extremely vulnerable if he ever were to take adventures like he had been during most of the story. Gene's words to him are a little bit ambiguous, but he tells Gon that he's back to normal and should enjoy it. But does this mean that he has the capability to harness nen again, or doesn't he? Even after Gon's final appearance in the manga right now is telling Mito that he realized his goal was to find Gene, but not necessarily to be with him, and that because he lost his nen, he didn't sense an incentive within himself to go with Gene. So, could this really have signified the end of Gon's story for good? Well, let's look at the possibilities. If Togashi ever returned to Gon, I see a few possible directions. One is obviously Gon going on a journey to try to find a way to get his nen back, either finding something similar to a nen exorcist or going through some intense training. Maybe it would be a good incentive for him to reunite with Killua as they try to uncover the secret. Obviously, there is a potential of something on the Dark Continent that would be able to do the trick, but to get Gon to the Dark Continent would be a nearly impossible task given to where the story is right now. We also have the potential rematch with Hisoka. During the Heavens Arena battle, there was a clear desire for them to fight again one day when Gon grew up and got stronger. But of course, Gon with no nen would be very uninteresting to Hisoka, not to mention the fact that Hisoka is currently on the biggest homicidal mission of his life, attempting to hunt down and kill the entire Phantom Troop, all on the boat heading towards the Dark Continent. However, we have yet to see him or have any idea of his whereabouts on the ship. And let's not forget about Gyro. Yeah, that guy. The man that had probably the most brutal upbringing in the story, was at one point killed and then turned into a chimera ant, but walked away from the ants and is now wandering the earth. Even though the anime omits this, there is a chapter in the manga that clearly sets up that Gyro and Gon would eventually meet. And mostly, all we know about Gyro is that he wants to create as much evil and darkness as possible, and who knows what powers and abilities he has at his disposal. He once commanded an entire underground army, so with Chimera Ant enhanced power, I'm pretty sure he could do that again tenfold. But the biggest issue with a potential Gon return isn't so much within the story itself, but outside of it. Togashi's health has been a big concern for many years, and the fact that he's returning to Hunter x Hunter now is a little bit of a shock to the fans that had assumed that he truly did throw in the towel, and nobody would blame him if he did. The problem with all of this isn't the potential of the story, the potential is endless. It's how long Togashi can do it and wants to do it. The Succession War and Dark Continent segments are a huge undertaking, and I would imagine that it would take a ton of chapters to wrap up that part properly, and that's if it's not rushed due to his health. To think that he would be able to finish all of these ongoing story threads and then jump back to Gon might be wishing a little bit too much from a man that self-admittedly could barely stand up not too long ago. I can't help but think that anything he tried to do with Gon might be underwhelming just to the fact of these health-like circumstances that he's been going through. But I also think it would be a shame if the series came to an end without Gon's involvement in some way. He was the main character for 20-some years, so I feel like he should be part of the ending in some way. But it's not so much a matter of could Gon return. There are various ways that you could do it. Like I said, one thing that I would love to see personally is a bit of a time skip. I would love to see a young adult Gon and Killua reunite for one last mission. But the struggle would be if Togashi has the will or health to attempt a continuation of Gon's character. Does the story need a continuation of him? No, I think it can survive just fine without GON, but this is just to say that if he wanted to, there are many things left that we could see from the OG green booty wearing protagonist. Anyways, guys, what do you think about this? First of all, how do you think Gon should come back into the story if he did? And second, do you think Takashi would ever actually consider bringing him back, or is Gon just kind of going to be left to the past? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Also, please like the video if you enjoyed it to help support it in the algorithm. And if you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have memberships turned on now, so if you want to get some exclusive content and videos, that's one way you could do that. As well, there is the Patreon and merch store, both linked down below. Other than that, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.